their intention is to try to goad people into reacting to their antics. That's always their that may not be their stated goal, but that is what they do. And so this was a clip that I found that just it hasn't really made the rounds, but I found it on Instagram, and it really tells an incredible story, because you have to listen carefully to what everybody is saying here, from the person who's filming it to the person who's being questioned. Let's set the stage. This is a cafe that is owned and run by a Palestinian, and he has to deal with a Jewish Zionist in his store.
Are you calling for Zio Hunter?
Oh, this is definitely Zio Hunter territory for sure.
Okay. All right. We're calling for Zio Hunter.
Here we go.
You're causing a disruption. I'm gonna call the police if you don't leave.
Please call the police. I'm not causing a disruption.
You need to leave. You need to leave. Sir, you need to leave.
Start again so you can see the headline.
You're causing
a Zionist provocateur wearing a Star of David that was ejected by the owner and then removed by police.
Disruption. I'm gonna call the police if you don't leave.
Please call the police. I'm not causing a disruption.
You need to leave. You need to leave. Sir, you need to leave.
I don't need to leave because
this is a private business. You're being asked to leave.
Please stop screaming.
You want me to escort you out?
Please stop.
You want me to escort you out?
Please stop
Leave my business.
in front of my son.
Get out of my business.
Stop screaming.
Get out of my business.
Is it his business?
This is a business.
You were the owner. He owns the cafe. Hold on, please. Hold on, please.
Hold on, please.
Unbelievable. The level of entitlement, you know, they just so show their whole asses, because any normal person, when asked to leave, will get up and leave, right? That's a normal person. When you're asked to leave, you might ask why, you might question it, whatever. But by this point, you would have just left. But only a real sociopath is going to sit there and debate it, because they're so fucking entitled to be able to do that in someone else's business.
Now, keep in mind who is filming here. The Zio is filming.
Of course he is.
Now, I have no doubt whatsoever that upon entering this cafe, that there was probably, this is my theory, okay? It's not going to be detailed in this story, but this is my theory. There was a Palestinian flag, probably a poster, pin, or something, either on the doorway, at the counter, wherever it was, and the person in question saw it and decided to either take out his Star of David necklace or something resembling the state of Israel. And
I think he's wearing a hat. It said he's wearing a hat with the Star of David on it.
Wearing a hat with the Star of David. So we all know what type of hat that is. It's the Israel flag on a hat.
Correct.
So to suggest that this person didn't know the place that he was going into, I don't buy it for a second. I think he knew exactly where he was going.
He went in there to antagonize. Absolutely. Yeah. He knew exactly what he was doing. He purposefully wore that in there. It's the equivalent of a MAGA hat in terms of, it really is. It's very triggering for people. And you're allowed to ask people to leave your business. You're allowed to.
Yep.
Gentleman asked me to leave because of my hat.
You're being this is a violent hat, and you need to leave.
My hat is
it's violent. It's violent.
I'm sorry. Leave. This man cannot ask me to leave because
I can. It's my business, bro.
No, he can't.
It's my business.
You can't refuse someone.
I can. Yes, I can.
You can't refuse service for a protected class. And
protected class. Protected class. Are you
Israeli flag hat wearers? Zio hat wearers are a protected class? Oh my God.
This is
infuriating.
I mean, a protected
class.
Protected class.
He's asking me to leave because of a Magen David Dome, which is Magen David, which is a Jewish star. He can't ask me to leave because of my religion. He can't
I'm not
ask me
asking
to
you to
leave.
leave because of that.
Yes, you are. You said
Are you a
my-
Zionist?
You said.
Are you a Zionist?
I don't have to identify
Leave.
myself
Then
by my
get out.
belief. Excuse
Bro,
me.
get out.
And you don't get to
That's
claim you're being persecuted for your religion if you're not identified. You don't get to say you're persecuting me for my religion and then say you don't have to identify yourself. Like, sorry, no. And also, if he were being persecuted for being Jewish, he'd be wearing a yarmulke. He's not wearing a yarmulke. He's in there, like Peter said, he knew this was a Palestinian business, and he went in there purposefully. It would be like somebody going into a Dem place purposefully wearing a MAGA hat. He went in there to antagonize.
I gotta
That's why he
tell
went
you,
in
you gotta admit, this guy has some set of testicles to want to pull that shit.
And that hat
Because-
is violent. That is a violent hat. I agree.
1000%. 1000%. Hey, listen, it's like our little friend in Miami who puts the hat on and flashes it on social media constantly saying, I'm triggering people by wearing my proud Jewish hat. It's like, dude, you're gonna get your freaking head knocked off. Hopefully by me, but if not by me, then somebody else.
Mm.
You know, they really don't understand that this is eventually this is not going to work for them anymore.
No.
They're going to end up, they're all pariahs.
Yes.
Every last one of them, including this douche
Yeah.
Get out.
Yes, he does if he's asking me to leave based on a protected class. Are you really, like, I'm sitting here quiet. We were sitting here quietly playing, I don't, you're wrong, call the police. I don't, they're wrong, call the police. You're gonna have a lawsuit. I don't, you're wrong, call the police.
Yeah, I'll call the cops on you, bro.
Do it.
Even though it's against my ethos, I'm gonna call the cops
Do
on
it,
you
call
right
the
now.
You walk into an establishment.
That what, doesn't allow
owned
Jews?
and run by
That,
Palestinians,
so, that doesn't allow
and
Jews?
it's
They are going to play
He
this
knows
from now
damn
until
straight.
kingdom come.
He knows damn straight what that is.
And this is a prime example of why you, Katie, Mr. Finkelstein, there's not enough, there are not enough Jews that speak out against this shit. There's just not. Like, there needs to be a consensus within the Jewish community that separates this shit. I don't care if it's only 25% of the Jewish community, of the Jewish population in the United States that doesn't identify as Zionist. That's still hundreds of thousands of Jews in this country who do not agree with this shit, and they choose to be silent about it, and they allow people like this piece of shit to speak on their behalf, knowing full well what is coming for them as we go forward. It's already happening.
So yeah, I can't help but think with everything you said, and if we exchanged it and made it percentage of men that are not those kinds of men, and if those amount of men would actually stand up and say things, then yeah. So everything Peter just said about the Jews that are not standing up and saying things, or just as it's the same thing for the men that aren't standing up against other men. Same thing. Continue.
they
They may not allow Jews.
and if they may not, that's not on us, and it's not on you.
It absolutely is. You can't deny service to Jews. No. Now he's pointing at me and saying,
If you listen very closely, and this is the funniest part of all of this, whether he's faking it or not, you listen closely to his tone, you could tell he's trying to either hold back tears or he's letting them go for the show.
they may not allow Jews.
And if they may not, that's not on us, and it's not on you.
It absolutely is. You can't deny service to Jews. No. Now he's pointing at me and saying, I'm not innocent because I have a Jewish scar on my head. You think that they're allowed to discriminate on my religion. They're not allowed to do that. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. They are not allowed to. Are they allowed to ask people to leave for being gay?
Oh my God!
So he just compared.
Now he's playing the gay card.
Well, no, he just compared being a Zio-Nazi to being gay.
Yeah.
He's comparing him wearing that obnoxious, purposefully triggering hat that announces that he's a genocidal freak, that asking someone like that, you don't want them in your establishment, is comparable to asking a gay person to leave your establishment. That is the same as the people that argue allowing gay marriage will then lead to people marrying their pets. That's how stupid that is.
Oh God, how many victim cards can you pull out of your
Oh,
ass?
Can't with this.
No, they can't. You are not allowed to discriminate based on a protected class. You let your child, if you were with them, if someone was
doesn't even know what a
discriminating based
protected
on...
class is.
You're
You're using your son as a human shield. You're a coward. You're a coward. This guy's using his son as a human shield.
Do I seem like a person that's being confrontational here?
Using his son as a human shield.
So you're not
These are the people that are around
not
him.
making the situation better.
I asked you to trespass him 10 minutes ago. He's still
You have to
here.
hear your side.
There's no
You have to
side.
hear his.
He's being trespassed.
There is nothing to hear, lady.
If this was reversed and that was an Israeli restaurant and a Palestinian guy sitting there with a hat on his head that they asked to leave, I don't think she'd be sitting there and discussing that we should be hearing both sides.
No.
That wouldn't even be a discussion.
I want him to leave.
Okay, I get that. I get that. Talk to you outside.
Am I being trespassed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll comply with anything that you
يا
have.
شرموط. انقلع يا شرموط. انقلع. انقلع يا شرموط. I love Jewish people. I love them. I love them. Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam. Fuck
In
Israel.
a room. Yes. And everybody, see, again, this is what the rest of the world, people from the rest of the world, have a much better understanding of context and nuance and are able to see shades of gray that we don't tend to see so much in this country. So this man 1,000% knows the difference between a Jew and a Zio. 1,000%. Again, this isn't somebody who is wearing a yarmulke.
And this is the danger that I have constantly tried to remind people. When you cede the real estate to somebody like Nick Fuentes and Dan Bilzerian, you create this environment where you can just say F the Jews because it's all the Jews, and no one pushes back on it because the Jews don't speak up when they should. And this is a prime example of somebody who doesn't feel that way, who's like, no, I can make the distinction between somebody who's Jewish and somebody who's a Zionist who happens to be Jewish. That is a man of nuance and a man of culture. And you know what? If I could only have an opportunity to go to that establishment.
Do we know where it is? Do we know where that is?
I'll look into it. I'll see if I can find it. I'll make mention of it on the next.
Yeah,
episode.
we need to find out where this is and go there.
We'll finish it up.
Fuck Zionists. Fuck Zionists. I trespassed. I
Can I ask why he's saying
trespassed.
fuck Israel and fuck Zionism? Can I ask that?
No, you can't.
What?
Because it's a free country. I can say whatever I want.
But why is he saying it to me?
Bye-bye.
Why is he saying it to me?
Bye-bye. Are you a Zionist?
Why would
Bye-bye.
Why is he saying it to me? Saying it to me?
Stop! Go outside.
Why are you saying
Please,
it to me?
please, go outside.
He went in there purposefully to bait them. He knew that it was a Palestinian establishment. He went in there wearing that hat. He's a total piece of shit. And he went in there wanting to film this to play some sort of victim card. This is now, it's pathetic.